conversation with the Emmy-nominated animator Vaibhav Kumaresh. He's made India laugh with his earlier work, and now he's ready to make the jungle come alive on screen with his debut feature film, Return of the Jungle. Thank you, Vaibhav, for talking to us.
Thank you so much.
And the movie is releasing in theaters. Return of the Jungle is releasing in theaters on May 29th, correct?
That's right.
And it's an animation film.
Yes.
Yes. So my first question is, I mean, a little uncomfortable, but in times when films are flopping, regular big ticket films with, star-driven films are flopping left, right, and center, a risk to release a, animation film in cinema halls?
See, I think any film is a risk. Like you mentioned, stars. If stars are flopping, what can, it just says that anything is a risk. With us, with Return of the Jungle, we made something with a very, very pure heart. We made something that we very strongly believe in. So, and we are very happy to take that risk. It is not a risk at all for us. It is something that we've always wanted to do, and we are so glad that we've been able to self-fund an entire animated feature film. Because compared to a live-action film, an animation film, even a Disney or a Pixar, takes at least 5 to 6 years to produce a film. हम लोगों ने तो अपनी छोटी टीम से अपनी savings को डाल के we've invested over many years. So it is something we've enjoyed. The journey has been extremely enjoyable for us, and we are proud of that film that we've produced. So there is no risk for us. We are extremely. We are looking forward to bringing this film to our audiences, and we are very confident that our audiences, the Indian audiences, there has never been an animation film made specifically for the Indian audiences, because you have never seen India or contemporary India captured in animation like you will see in Return of the Jungle. So we are very confident.
In fact, your teaser says Indian animation like never before. So is that the USP, that it's contemporary India in animation form, or there is some other USP of your of Return of the Jungle?
See, for me, as a creator, it's our baby. So I would like to say that there are so many USPs. The film has many USPs, but the core of it that I think the audience will, really appreciate at the first look itself is seeing their own culture, their own culture captured on screen using this medium of animation. I think that would be a very, very big first. It is inspired by our folk tales, and like India has such a rich folklore.
Absolutely.
And these are stories that contain life lessons, and yet they are not preachy. They are told with such entertainment and such amazing. There's so much fun in it. Exactly. So it is a mix of many things. My growing up years, the challenges that children may face, everyday challenges seem like huge problems to this group of children, and to encourage them, there are these stories from the jungle that inspire them to face their everyday situations. So that is the basic premise of the story. So it's my growing up school day stories mixed with stories that inspired me as a kid.
Yeah, but you're saying Indian culture specifically, but most of the animation films have been inspired by Indian culture. I mean, specifically Indian mythology. Do you think Indian mythology is the biggest superpower of animation world?
I don't think so, because we have much more than mythology. Mythology is something we are extremely proud of, and it works because it connects instantly. People are already aware of it. So it's not like aapko freshly koi kahani batani hai. So that connect with your audiences is already done when you take mythology. But our film is not mythology. Like I said, it's folklore and it is contemporary India. So it's a very beautiful fusion of these two worlds.
Yeah. No, I'm not talking about your film per se, but I mean the last film which has done wonders, Mahavatar Narsimha,
Yes,
which is
yes,
which is of course Indian mythology, and so many others, even in we had Char Sahibzade, which was about
yes,
which was again about Sikh religion. So that from that
yes.
context, I'm asking whether why does in the world of animation so far in India mythology works the best.
So far, yes. If you see the statistics, yes, mythology is leading the way big time.
Mhm.
That's true.
But considering the success of these few films, do you think India is ready for animation?
I think India was always ready for animation. We grew up on animation. We saw the films division produce such beautiful animated shots like Ek Chidiya, Ek Titliya,
Uh,
Anek Titliya, Ek
uh,
Taka Ped. On Doordarshan, we grew up watching those little beautiful films. And then there are so many Disney films.
yeah,
Like one of my favorites was The Lion King on the big
everybody's
screen
favorite. Yeah.
was an amazing experience for me as a little child.
Hmm.
So I think we were always ready for animation. We were always, looking forward to good animation. And it's if whenever our creators have created something which is good, the storytelling or the production, it has done well theatrically also. So Mahavatar Narsimha is also an example of not just
Yeah.
it didn't work just because of mythology, because there are so many mythological films that did not work as well. But the creators of Mahavatar Narsimha also have put in their blood and sweat and done it with a very true heart. And they have
Yeah.
produced something stunning. So there are so many things, like cinematically, the film needs to have something beautiful to engage the audiences.
But yeah, yes. So my question is, whether what is the most important element or ingredient in the world of animation? Most of us think it's technology, and many would think it's the fun part, or is it has to be some kind of heart has to be there.
So it is filmmaking. The fact that we use the medium of animation,
Hmm.
it does not matter. At the end, whether it is live action or animation, you are telling a story through a film to your audiences. What animation gives you is a highly imaginative tool. You can tell things which live action cannot,
Right.
using this beautiful medium. So I feel at the core of it, if it is an engaging story, well told by the storyteller and beautifully produced using the
Yeah.
medium, these are all the ingredients. And the most important ingredient is the truthfulness with which the story is told. Many a times as a filmmaker, a thought excites us,
Hmm.
but how truthfully we capture that excitement into a film, that matters the most, because that excitement is what reaches your audiences.
But what would you say is more challenging? Making the adults relive the nostalgia. You're talking about how the childhood memories, kind of shaped this film, or it is to engage with children. You know.
So when I make a film, I am making it for myself. I am the target audience. I
Okay.
need to excite me. I
Hmm.
need to blow my minds first. If I am excited with the story I want to tell, then I'll give it to my audience. And I'm not thinking कि ये बच्चा देखेगा या बड़ा देखेगा.
Hmm.
If I'm doing something that I'm proud of, I know that it'll cut across ages. It'll be a unique product, and different age groups will connect to it. Especially in the case of Return of the Jungle, it is definitely not only a film for children. It might be a
Hmm.
film about children. With
Okay.
children being the stars,
Okay.
but it is much beyond that. It's a more maturely made film from any of our animation films that we've seen before, and therefore the we are presenting it like a film for the family. Parents, children, grandparents should watch it together, and it'll be a much more beautiful experience there.
So you're talking about life lessons, and there are many life lessons in the film. So what would you say is the biggest message of the film?
See, the greatest message is friendship and courage. It is about children and how they bond together and how they face their everyday challenges. to keep a strong morale, to be positive, and to stay inspired. Those are simple everyday values which have just been, brought to screen very, very beautifully.
And jungle is also, is it, of course this looks like a jungle, but is it a metaphor for something deeper?
It is. For me, most of the folk tales, whether they were Jataka tales or
Right.
Panchatantra or Hitopadesha, they were born in the jungle. There are beautiful examples which are woven out of the jungle. For example, Panchatantra, when Vishnu Sharma composed it, it is like a curriculum designed to teach young princes. And he made beautiful stories which taught life lessons, and the actors of those stories were animals from the jungle. So for me, the jungle is that wisdom, and the jungle is that inspiration that we need today. And therefore, we called our film Return of the Jungle, that,
Yeah.
we've been missing this inspiration for a long time. So now the jungle is back.
But why are jungle truths so relevant to our lives?
Why are jungle?
Jungle
Sorry,
truths, truths,
jungle truths.
jungle, the truths of the jungle are so relevant.
So
I mean, they're so much similar to the truths of our life. As you've said, jungle
very
represents
true.
wisdom. Yeah.
Very true. I think it is a parallel world. Like, what our folk tales do very successfully, they are using animals, but they are playing human roles. When you, it's like a mirror. You are seeing another world, but you are learning from that world because it applies to your own lives. So jungle is your parallel world, and our film has a similar structure of, combining two worlds, where one world learns from the other, gets inspired by the other. So the inspiration comes from the jungle.
So I was watching one of your interviews where it was somewhere in 2022 when you said that this movie is ready. The production of the movie is ready, and
Yes.
now we are in 2026. So what took you so long for the post production? What were the challenges that held the movie for so many years?
So this is a film that is entirely self-funded. Nobody wanted to support yet another animation film. When
Okay.
our feature films were not making profits, they were making losses. But हमें तो film बनानी थी. So what we did was, with all our commercial work, we've over the years, like over the past 23 years, our studio has created a lot of
Right.
popular content, animation content. So we used to earn from our clients, and we used to save that money and invest in making our film. So in year 2023, this film production was almost over, and we'd blown up all our monies. And then we realized, to release it in a theater, we need immense amounts of money for the promotion, for the advertising, for the prints. And then we started, raising funds again. So that time, the gap that is there in the middle, almost 2.5 years, was where we were doing our homework and preparing for the theater.
But what is it that animation ecosystem really lacks? Is it funding? Is it creativity? Is it audiences?
So in India, I would say there are two ecosystems. One is an industry which is an American European industry which is based in India, which is the largest industry in India. 90% of the animation work that happens in India, I don't call it the Indian animation. It is, like I mentioned, American or European animation being executed by Indian artists. So it's a service providing job, purely service providing job. None of that. I mentioned Lion King, right? The original Lion King, which I saw as a kid. The
Yes.
recent Lion King, which was 3D, has won an Oscar award, and majority of that is produced in India.
Okay.
Even then, that is not our story. So what I'm trying to say is, one ecosystem does a lot of outsourced work, and it is a business for them. Whereas the other ecosystem is what we are part of, where there are filmmakers, storytellers that want to tell indigenous animation stories. हमारी कहानियां हम अपने audience के लिए बनाएं. That is what motivates us. So that is the little bunch, even Mahavatar Narsimha, Ashwin and Shilpa, husband and wife duo, I think they are also part of this little minority that is trying to make our own indigenous films for our audiences. So I think that is a very, very good trend. I would like more Indian animation filmmakers to tell their own unique stories. Like Mythology did well. I hope contemporary and folk tales in Return of the Jungle does well. And I hope many more unique filmmakers tell their own unique stories. But truthfully telling them is most important. And the audience will really connect if it is well told, truthfully told.
But talking of you talking of this another ecosystem. You also listed Lion King as a movie. That's a movie cuts across. I mean, it's everybody's favorite movie. Including mine. So, but do you think Indian animation is there at the international level? And when you got that Emmy nod, did you feel that we have kind of arrived in the world of animation at international level?
So the international audience was never on our radar. Even with Lamput, which got us our Emmy nomination, we were just telling a simple story, which was non-dialogue for Cartoon Network. And that show earned us the not one but 2 Emmy nominations.
Okay.
With Return of the Jungle, we were very clear that this is for our Indian audience. I don't know whether a foreign audience will connect or not, because it's produced in Hindi. It is a story that reflects our culture very, very strongly. But I know that my Indian audience is such a huge market, because we are everywhere, not just in India. There's such a big diaspora in the US, in Australia, in the UK, in the Gulf, in Southeast Asia. So why should I not make films for my own audiences? Like the way Indian live action cinema does. Whether it is Telugu cinema, Malayalam cinema, Marathi cinema, Hindi cinema, Punjabi cinema, Gujarati, Bengali, doesn't matter. Our filmmakers are not making films for America or Europe.
Yeah.
They are making them for our audiences. That is what interests me. That is what excites me, because I think I know my audiences. And I think when I create something that I am excited with, I can guess or I can predict that yes, they will be excited with it too.
But technically, at a protection, of course, as Indian filmmaker, you have to tell your own stories. But because technically we are often, we often get the flack that technically we are not there. Do you think technically we have reached global standards in the world of animation? And also another follow-up question, whether AI is an enabler or an obstacle in this world of animation?
So technically, I think we are all using the same tool globally now, because that the world has really shrunk. It's a small world today. And like I mentioned, even the Lion King, recent Lion King, which has won the Oscar, has been produced by Indian artists. Right. So it's the same technology everybody is using. So I don't think there is, we are there in every level. And beyond that, I don't think we need to force our way to go to some other audience or to reach some other quality. Our definition of good filmmaking is very unique. The Indian culture is very, very unique. We don't always stress on technical finesse.
Absolutely.
Our storytelling comes through so many other factors, which wins our hearts. So I don't think we need to compare, the fight is not on the technology front. Our goal is to enter our audience's hearts and win their hearts. We do that through our own unique ways. So that is as far as the international and Indian filmmaking is concerned. About your question on AI, I definitely feel it is yet another tool which is an enabler, no doubt. Every artist has a much more intelligent assistant now. So with AI, it is an assistant, and it's a little more दिमाग वाला असिस्टेंट है. आपको जो काम कचड़ा लगे उसको दे दो, वो जल्दी करके देगा और बेहतर करके देगा. So why not use it? It is not that AI will create everything for you. Finally, my view is that the artist is in command always, and it's the artist's vision. So AI is a tool that is just helping the artist's vision come alive faster and cheaper, probably.
Right. You also studied animation at NID, National Institute of Design?
I studied at NID. Yes, I'm a graduate of NID from 95 to 98. I graduated, my post graduation was in NID in 98.
Okay. So, what lessons you may have learned from your alma mater?
So I am grateful to begin with. I have so much gratitude because it introduced me to such a beautiful medium of animation. I'm grateful to my teachers, my batchmates, because everyone was so passionate about telling their own stories. What NID has guided us is to give back to the community. Why would we invest our own money, our own decades of work to create content? So our alma mater has motivated us to create content for our own audiences. So I'm also a visiting faculty. I go back to my alma mater every year to teach, for juries, for interviews. So I only have gratitude because it's such a blissful place to study in. And even after more than 30 years, we are still so attached to our school, to our institute. So I only have gratitude for that.
And besides you've spoken about folk tales. This one is also based on Indian folk tale. Obviously, they must have influenced you in your formative years. But any other inspirational presence in your life? Maybe some international animation filmmaker.
Yes. So more than films, like I think my first inspiration came from comics. I used to love doodling. I used to love acting. I used to love telling stories as a kid. So Amar Chitra Katha has been a huge inspiration for me. I learned, maybe it was the orientation into Indian mythology, into Indian history and folklore. Then there was Tintin, Asterix and Obelix. Right. There was R.K. Lakshman's, you said it, the small panel that he used to draw on Times of India. There's Mario Miranda. His work was so beautiful. So all these artists have definitely influenced me. There is another Malaysian artist who is also, you can call him the R.K. Lakshman of Malaysia, who is Lat, L-A-T. That's the name of the artist. Okay. And he had written this beautiful book called The Kampung Boy, which is about गांव का लड़का, उनकी गांव की कहानियां, which is very beautiful. So inspirations have come from so many places. And of course, I think all our favorite animation studio, which is the Japanese studio called Studio Ghibli, they produce very, very beautiful, more than Pixar or DreamWorks, which are the mainstream studios. I feel their work is pretty monotonous and predictable and boring. I like these independent films. Like I like Aardman animation. I like Studio Ghibli. I like a lot of independent European filmmakers' films, especially when it comes to animation.
But you're talking of the influence of comics for a generation that is reading less and less. At least it is reading less and less of comics, books. Do you think animation then becomes more important or less important because many of them may not have been connected to comics?
No, that's a very valid question, because in the digital age, I think reaching your audiences is easier through animation. Though I would love, even comics have reinvented themselves. We have Comic-Cons happening almost every 3 months in different parts of the country. So even the comic ecosystem has matured a lot. We have a variety of independent comic creators. But I still feel animation, being an audiovisual medium, is more accessible in today's digital era.
So you're talking of many studios which have inspired you. If you were to pick one international studio you can collaborate with, which one would it be?
Like I said, I really respect the work of Studio Ghibli.
Okay, so you would.
I don't know, definitely. Who would not? Who would not?
Okay. And after Return of the Jungle, what are the kind of stories you would like to explore?
So Return of the Jungle is not a one film property. Right. It's an IP that is much larger. there are 2 more feature films that are in writing and in design phase. There is a huge merchandising because Return of the Jungle is very character heavy. People will love the characters. So there is a huge merchandise that we are working on. There are episodic series. And then at Vaibhav Studios, we have more mad people, who are directors, who have their unique visions. So we want to produce their shows. There are 2D animated shows. Return of the Jungle is a digital 3D animated film.
Right.
But we like at the core of it, we are artists, we are storytellers. So whether it is clay animation or hand-drawn animation or digital 3D animation, we are happy, doing any medium. So after Return of the Jungle, there is so much more to do. Again, like I mentioned, education is very close to us. We would want to even teach animation, which we do. We conduct a lot of workshops all over the country. So there are so many things to do. It's just a beginning for us.
So any character we would be rooting for after Return of the Jungle? Any one character?
I think you should tell us that. Like, I would be keen to hear from you because they're all our children. So I don't know whether
फिर भी children में
एक
फेवरेट होता है हमेशा.
अभी मेरे तो सारे फेवरेट्स है, जो विलन है वो भी मुझे अच्छे लगते हैं. तो मुझे यही लगता है कि like I mentioned, the film has multiple characters, and I think Arvind Bhai, there is a character called Arvind Bhai who is a rat, who is a little rat, jungle rat. So I think that's one of my favorites.
So back in time, when you got this Emmy nod, was it validation of your work, or did it seem like a pressure, of expectations?
Yeah, when the results are going to be announced, there is always a pressure and nervousness कि हम जीतेंगे नहीं जीतेंगे. But it is such a good validation, Lamput anyway has such a huge fan following from all over the world. That itself, is such a blissful experience for any creator. And after that, when international awards like the Emmys or the Asian Academy Awards, Lamput has won so many awards over the years because we've done 4 seasons of Lamput over almost a decade. So it like audience reactions is something that I really cherish, and awards are just like a byproduct. It is a bonus.
But if you're talking of how India has contributed in the making of Oscar-winning Lion King, but if an Indian film were to win an Oscar tomorrow, what do you think that film will look like?
I don't know. I hope our film wins it.
Our film. I'm saying if an Indian animation film, like for instance, of course, if something like Return of the Jungle wins an Oscar nomination, or what do you think an Indian film which will win an Oscar, which possibly wins an Oscar tomorrow, what do you think it will look like?
I think it will create a lot of positive hype. Nothing else. Following filmmakers will still have to struggle and still need to make a truthful film. It will not change much because every following film will still have to go through a struggle. But winning an Oscar is just international hype, and it's an honor. Okay, it's like I said, it's a bonus. कि awards आ रहे हैं वो अलग चीज है. But more importantly, I would pray that every film recovers not only its money but much more than that. Like, I would pray that these films are made beautifully so that audiences love them. Audience, we are making this not for us to sit and watch. मैंने Return of the Jungle 1000 बार देख ली है, एडिटिंग में देख ली, म्यूजिक में देख ली. मैं बना रहा हूँ फिल्म में ताकि आप सब देख पाएं, and I'm hoping that you love the film. So when the audience likes the film, that is when the most the happiness happens for a creator only then. So I'm wishing every filmmaker that कि audiences उनकी फिल्में पसंद करें. पहली बात तो वो सच्चाई के साथ फिल्में बनाएं, audiences पसंद करें उनकी फिल्मों को, और उनको पैसे मिले कि वो और फिल्में बना सके. That is very important.
Yeah, so animation का अपना एक बहुत बड़ा इकोसिस्टम हो, independent ecosystem.
Yes, yes. And
Where,
and
where
if constantly films do well, like
yeah,
Narsimha was such a blockbuster,
yeah,
we have to
absolutely.
constantly keep creating that financial, target. We have to keep hitting that. We have to keep bettering that. When that happens, हमें थोड़ी और इज्जत मिलेगी. Like इंडस्ट्री में लोग सोचेंगे कि अच्छा एनिमेशन फिल्म है, ठीक है, इनको सपोर्ट करेंगे, क्योंकि इसमें प्रैक्टिकली धंधा भी चलेगा और फिल्में भी अच्छी बनाते हैं. तो ये धंधा का चलना बहुत जरूरी है.
लेकिन आपने कहा कि आपने बात करी अपनी एनआईडी से आप मोटिवेट हुए, बट व्हाट एल्स कीप्स यू मोटिवेटेड, especially when
I
the
think
challenges are huge and you're putting your money in
in terms of
chances.
inspiration, I think we absorb inspiration from our everyday life. I like to capture my life into my films. So for me, every day is an inspiration. Talking to you also, I might be learning something. So as animation filmmakers, we need to churn out things from our head.
Oh, yeah.
So whatever, for me, my life, meeting people, that is inspiring for me.
But any advice for, I mean, you have so much of experience behind you. Any advice for wannabe animators?
I would say get good education. That is number one. Get clarity on what you love doing. It is very important to understand that this is what my first love is, and this is what I don't like doing. Having clarity of both these are important, so that you don't waste time doing something that you don't like. And when you love doing something, you will do it really well. And when you do it well, people will only come to you and pay to work with you. So the
Right.
entire cycle takes care of itself when you love your work. So that is your first step.
And you were clearly in love with animation.
Oh, obviously.
Obviously.
That is what insulates us. You asked
Yeah.
about risk. I don't know any risk because I'm insulated in that love for my work. I don't see if there is a risk. I don't even see it.
Oh, such wonderful words, and hope your love and the product of your love rather comes. People
Yes,
also
and I
love it
hope
as much.
audience. Yes,
Yeah,
audience also
it
feels that
receives
love. Yeah.
audience's love as much as you've loved creating it. And thank you
Thank
so
you
much,
so much.
Vaibhav, for your time. Pleasure talking to you.